Well, there she goes, the Wilkesboro Coupe. She finally got sold. Actually, she's been sold for a while, but because of all the crazy hurricane weather, the buyer was just able to come pick it up at 8 o'clock last night. Now, if you're just easing back in your recliner and taking that first sip of coffee, and you're wondering to yourself, what's this Wilkesboro Coupe old Puddin' Creek's talking about? Well, if you haven't seen the first video, We Find the Wilkesboro Coupe, you might want to go watch that one first. If you have seen that video, then you already know that the Wilkesboro Coupe was an old race car that we found in a horse barn 17 miles outside Wilkesboro, North Carolina. In this video, I thought it might be fun to take you guys behind the scenes with us, monetarily speaking, and show you just how much all these parts and pieces cost, how much we sold them for, how much we sold the whole car for, just kind of show you what goes into the financial aspects of putting one of these hot rod deals together. Now, it all started when I saw this ad on Marketplace for a 34 5-window coupe for $8,500. Now, this was kind of a package deal. It was a rough 34 Ford 5-window coupe, old stock car body, and it was a completely trashed original 34 Ford frame. It had one original rear fender. It had a set of fiberglass rear fenders, a set of fiberglass front fenders, a set of fiberglass running boards, and a set of fiberglass doors. It also came with about a half a pickup truck load of brand new street rod parts that had been purchased 10 to 15 years prior probably. There was also a fiberglass 34 Ford grill with stainless steel bars. As I'm standing in front of this big pile of parts, surmising the situation, I'm thinking to myself, I really don't want any of these fiberglass parts. I really can't use any of the street rod parts. Those will just be something I'll have to sell. The frame is pretty bad. It's almost unusable. I really only want the body out of this deal. So the seller and I discuss it, and we finally come to an agreement on a price of $5,500 for the whole deal. So just as it's getting dark, me, my buddy, and the seller, we load all this stuff on the back of my buddy's trailer, and we head back in the dark to East Tennessee. So I give my buddy $300 for his time and for gas and for using his truck and trailer. So that puts me up to $5,800 on the whole deal so far. You see how this video is going to work? Next morning, I advertised the fiberglass grill on Marketplace for $500. 20 minutes after I listed it, a guy from Knoxville messages me and says I'll take it. That gets me down to $5,300 in the whole package. The next item to go on Marketplace was the fiberglass rear fenders. I listed them for $250 and the guy talked me down to $190. Now we're at $5,110. So in the load of street rod parts, there was a complete Mustang II front end setup, including the cross member, the brakes, rotors and calipers, a brand new rack and pinion, everything you need to do a Mustang II front end conversion. So my buddy that went with me to North Carolina to help me haul all this stuff home, he called the next day and said, that Mustang II setup you got in all those parts, how much would you sell it for? I said, to you, old buddy, I'll take $1,000. He said, I'll take it. That gets us down to $4,110. Then he said, while I got you on the phone, I noticed you had 2 power window kits in that pile of parts. Now, surely you're not going to use both of those power window kits. I said both of them. I'm not even going to use one of them. Traditional hot rods don't have power windows. Well, you guys can see where this is going. Sold the power window kit to my buddy for $125. The very next weekend is the Street Rod Nationals in Knoxville, Tennessee. And I'm thinking to myself, street rods. I feel like I've seen 1,000 fiberglass 1934 Ford street rods in my life. So I tell the little woman, let's load up all these fiberglass body parts, take them to the swap meet at the Street Rod Nationals, and these street rodders, they'll be buying them with 3 hands. The little woman and I, we get set up at the swap meet, and the first item we sell is that other power window kit, $230. That gets us to a package price of $3,755. Unfortunately, we didn't sell any of the fiberglass body parts and ended up hauling them all back home. While we're sitting around bored at the swap meet, I post on Instagram that we're looking for an original 1934 Ford deck lid. The deck lid that came on this car was some kind of a homemade deal, didn't fit right. I'm sure it was plenty good for a race car, but we need a nice original deck lid to start building this thing. A super nice guy in California reaches out to me and says I have an almost perfect original Henry Ford 34 deck lid. I'd sell it to you for $500, but I don't have any way to box it, crate it, figure out how to ship it to you. If you can figure out how to get it from California to Tennessee, it's yours for $500. So my mind goes to work, and I remember I have this huge sheet of extra thick, 3/8 thick, heavy-duty cardboard at home, and I go about making a custom box just the exact size to ship a 34 Ford deck lid in. I line it with 2-inch foam and even put a roll of tape in there for the guy to tape it up to ship the deck lid back to me. It cost me $160 to ship the empty box to California. Now you're in your living room watching this video, jumping up and down and telling your wife, "Old Puddin' Creek's gonna pay $160 to ship an empty box?" I think he's gone crazy. Well, all I can say is, I resemble that remark. Well, the deck lid showed up at the shop, and man, it is a nice one. It cost $300 to ship the deck lid from California back to my shop in East Tennessee. So let's do a little recap. The deck lid cost me $500. Shipping the empty box out to California cost me $160. And shipping the box with the deck lid in it from California back to Tennessee cost me $300. That's a grand total of $960 and an all-original Henry Ford deck lid. Now we need to cipher out the new grand total for the whole car.
Can you do all that?
Sure, Granny. All it takes is addition, subtraction, and what you call long division.
I come up with a new grand total of $4,715. So I finally get a bite on these fiberglass body parts. A guy pays me $550 for the fiberglass doors and the fiberglass front fenders. I still have the fiberglass running boards. I'll probably have those the day I die. Maybe they can use them for a tombstone. Here lies old Puddin' Creek. He never could sell these running boards. So after selling the fiberglass doors and fenders for $550, we're now at a new grand total of $4,165 in the whole shebang. Later that night, I was scrolling through one of the 3334 Ford Facebook groups, and I noticed a guy that is local to me had listed an all-original 1934 Ford chassis for sale. So I hook up the truck and trailer bright and early the next morning, head out and try to make a deal on it. Now when I get there, I find out that it's an all-original, really nice 34 Ford chassis, but it has a late 1937 Ford flathead motor in it. The late 1937 motors were the first Ford flatheads to have insert bearings, so that's a big plus. Now after some back and forth negotiation with the seller, we finally agreed to a price of $3,850 for the 34 Ford chassis. Well, I get it home, and really all it needs is a good pressure washing with degreaser. Then it's ready to work on. Oh yeah, and for everybody keeping tally, now we're up to a new grand total of $8,015. With the chassis pressure washed and degreased, I rolled it into the shop. It's time to start putting this whole deal together. Now remember, this is not a build, it's just a mock-up. The first part I bolt onto the chassis is a nice original 1934 Ford radiator. You're saying, hey, Puddin' Creek, don't leave anything out. How much did you pay for that radiator? Oh, and where'd you get it? I bought it back in 2021 from a gentleman in North Carolina who had removed it years ago to replace it with a new Walker radiator that had a built-in air conditioning condenser. I paid him $100 for it. Now, I had a county education, but even I can figure that without a calculator. That brings us up to $8,115. Now we need a grill for the car, and it just so happens right back here in the old parts pile, I have a beautiful 1934 Ford grill. Where'd I get it? I bought it at the Dixie Oil and Gas Show. I paid $700 for it. The little woman said, "Surely you're not going to pay $700 for that rusty old grill." I said, "I sure am." Now, the grill didn't come with the bull nose or the Ford emblem. Where did I buy those? At the Old North State Invitational Show in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. How much did I pay? $180. And lastly, the radiator cap. That came out of an estate sale, and I paid $100 for it. So the total cost to get the complete grill assembly on the front of the car is $980. And that brings us up to a grand total of $9,095. I had a good original 1934 Ford gas tank in my parts pile. I only had paid $30 for it, so that gets us to a new grand total of $9,125. Now, the old car body came with a nice original windshield frame, but it was missing the mechanism that allows you to crank the windshield out, tilt it out at the bottom for ventilation. Now, if you remember from the original Wilkesboro Coupe video, I had bought out an estate of a guy that had restored over 40 1933 and 1934 Fords over his entire lifetime. Now, this windshield crank is one of the items that came out of that estate. I had $100 in it. I cleaned it up, got it working nice and smooth, stuck it in the Wilkesboro Coupe, and now you can crank the windshield in and out just like you're supposed to be able to. Add the windshield regulator in, and we get a new total of $9,225. Now, if you'll remember, when I bought the chassis, it only had the factory single carburetor intake, and it was missing the carburetor. Hanging on the wall, I had a no-name aluminum double carburetor intake that I'd paid $100 for, and I also had two Strombergs that I'd paid $150 for the pair. To top off the carbs, I had a really nice set of vintage frogmouth air scoops. That's another $150. So all total, to get the engine mocked up, looks like it cost us $400. Add the $400 to our grand total, and we get a new grand total of $9,625. I had been looking for a nice original set of Henry Ford splash aprons for over a year and was having no luck finding them at all. Then up comes the Hershey swap meet. The little woman and I, we line up at the gate in the early hours of the morning with our wagon and a big long shopping list of parts we need for all these projects. Out of the whole giant Hershey swap meet, I only found one set of original Henry Ford splash aprons, and they weren't in the best condition. Now, the guy wanted $250 for them. He and I went back and forth for a few minutes. Finally, I ended up buying them for $175, and we put them on the wagon. That $175 purchase now brings our grand total up to $9,800. We're almost up to $10,000 in this thing, and we don't even have it put together yet. Once I get the splash aprons bolted on, I turn around and I see one single hood side leaning up against the wall. I grab it, throw it on the car, stick it on there with a couple of magnets just to be able to stand back and take a look. Now it's starting to look like a 1934 Ford. We've got to figure out a hood for this car next. I had a whole pile of 34 Ford hoods and hood parts to choose from, but I ended up going with a complete hood that we got out of that big 34 Ford parts buyout. I mainly chose it because it has 4 really smooth working latches. If a hood has a few dents or dings in it, you can knock those out really quick. But if all 4 latches are frozen up solid with rust, you got a long day ahead of you. So having 4 nice working latches made this go a lot faster. Now, I didn't have an original hood hinge, so I had to order one, and I also had to order a set of radiator support rods from Speedway Motors. I really hate to put any import parts on this car, and these are probably the only 2, but I did have to order these 2 parts. With tax and shipping, these 2 parts cost me $91. Boy, import repop parts sure have got expensive. I paid $400 for the hood itself, plus the $91 for the hood hinge and the radiator supports, so that's $491 to get a hood on this car. So the hood puts us over $10,000. We're now at a new grand total of $10,291.
Now this car's been chopped about 2 inches. It was made of hot rod in the late 50s, so three of them. You know, just homemade top.
All right,
Never finished.
here we go. How much on it? But if you're a rat rod person, that's pretty cool. How much on it? How much on it? Did you get 3,000?
Now, if you're a subscriber to our channel, you'll remember that we bought the Asheville Custom at an estate sale in Asheville, North Carolina. If you haven't seen that video, go back to our channel and check it out. Anyway, while we were at that auction, we also picked up a cool set of BLC headlights mounted to a Model A headlight bar. The nuts were rusted up solid to the mounting bolts, but the actual headlight buckets themselves were in fantastic shape. No rust through, no holes, plus they had a really cool patina with a lot of the original black paint still on them. Now I paid $150 for the headlights mounted on a Model A headlight bar. So we'll save the headlight bar for another project. We'll allow $50 for that, and we'll say the headlight buckets cost me $100. That brings our grand total up to $10,391. So the very last part I put on the Wilkesboro Coupe is this set of original 1934 Ford hubcaps. I bought these at an estate auction. I hand painted the V8 logo with one-shot paint. I paid $100 for the set of four. So if we add in our cost of $100 for the hubcaps, our final cost for the car and all the parts that it took to mock it up was $10,491. So here's the finished product. Now it all started out, if you remember, in that horse barn, 17 miles outside Wilkesboro, North Carolina. It was just an old stock car body, an unusable frame, and a whole pile of street rod parts. Through buying and selling and horse trading, we've now turned it into a nice rolling project for somebody, and it's just covered up in real deal Henry Ford parts. Now you're saying, come on, Puddin' Creek, enough with the suspense. How much did you sell the car for? That's what we really want to know. I sold the car for $15,000. Now I know all the armchair accountants out there are scrambling to get your calculator, but I'll save you the trouble. Here's the way it breaks down. We sold the car for $15,000. We had $10,491 in parts and in the car itself. That's a profit of $4,509. But now wait a minute, is that really our profit? It seems like there might be a few things we're leaving out of this equation. A little thing called overhead. You know, what's it cost to operate the shop? Electricity, the water bill, insurance. Oh yeah, there's one other line item that we're kind of leaving out of this spreadsheet. Old Puddin' Creek's labor. Now I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I didn't keep up with my hours on this car. If you watched the first video, you saw that I did have a lot of work, a lot of time in it. So did I make a killing on this deal? Absolutely not. Did I make any money at all? Well, if you count my labor, probably not. Did I have fun? Oh, it was a ball. I really enjoyed mocking the car up. I enjoyed the horse trading. I enjoyed selling the street rod parts to the street rodders. I enjoyed buying the traditional parts and bolting them on the car. And you guys had a lot of fun watching the videos. Most importantly, the buyer got a great project car with a lot of really nice Henry Ford parts on it. I feel like everybody was a winner in this deal. Well, that's our video for this week. Sure hope you guys have enjoyed something a little different. Somebody that actually tells you the numbers behind a hot rod deal. I hope that was interesting for you. If you haven't took time to subscribe to our channel, you want to do that because we've got a lot of crazy videos coming up in the future. Throw us a like if you've got time. Leave a comment. We always read your comments. We might not have time to respond to every single one, but we read them. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.